Hey you guys, Dev here at WeBuyHouses.com. Welcome to the Cash Offer Masterclass, episode number 55. I'm always looking for things that I can show you guys or a different aspect of real estate investing, maybe a different type of house, different type of location. We've been mainly looking at houses in Texas. That's where I get a lot of my information. I'm here in Texas. What we talk about really works in any place, any market in the United States. So don't worry that we're looking in Texas. Our methodology, our thought processes are going to work for the houses in the area where you are just as well. Now, this one today is an interesting house. It's a different kind of situation, if you will. What we're going to find with this house here in Beaumont, Texas, is that it has been gutted. That means they've taken out all the walls and it's stripped down to the studs. We're going to see that when we jump into the pictures. Now, that is an interesting situation because if you think about it, somebody started to do work on this house. They realized, I guess, that the walls were ruined and they needed to go in and take all the walls out. And there's a lot of other issues that come into play. Now, you might say, well, if this needed to be done, then it's a good thing that somebody already did the demo. I don't have to do the demo. Yeah, that's true. But, at the end of the day, the numbers have to work. And I think we're going to find that our numbers are going to be quite challenged on this house. It may be one of the craziest deals that we've looked at because of the condition of this place. As you can see, it's not at all in good shape on the outside. When we look at it, we see, it's probably been years since anybody's lived in this house. So nobody's been taking care of the yard or anything. The windows look bad. And so we're going to jump into it. First, let me tell you where we got this deal. It came to us from Fazio Real Estate Solutions. You guys know I don't have a relationship with Fazio. I use their content for educational purposes, and they send me a lot of houses all over Texas. I really appreciate that. And this is one that they sent. And as you can see up here, River Oaks Estates Investor Special, 3-bedroom, 2 baths, sounds good. Brick gutted flip on 0.4 acre with strong upside. Beaumont, Texas. Now, first, where is Beaumont? Well, if I come out and zoom out, you can see that here's Houston and Beaumont's over here. We recently, a few episodes ago, we looked at a house over here in Orange, Texas. So we've kind of been looking down in this corner of Texas. It's kind of interesting. And there's Beaumont, pretty good sized city down there. The house we're looking at is actually out here off of 105. And as we go in, what did we find? We found a Dollar General. We're already off to a good start because the property is right down the street from the Dollar General. You guys know I like to see a Dollar General or a Family Dollar nearby at bare minimum. Nice to see a Walmart and all that other kind of stuff, but just the Dollar General makes my heart warm and makes me feel like, hey, you could survive out here because you're just going to go right down there to the street. And look, they're having Christmas at the Dollar General. Woohoo. Okay, so that's where the house is located. And if we're jumping down onto Street View, that's the house Street View. I did look at the very first picture in their set to give us a better background for the opening of my video. But it also, you can see this, what I'm going to say is a current picture, is in pretty rough condition even compared to what we saw in Street View. And that Street View is from, image capture 2012. So there's the house in 2012. Here's the house today. Probably wasn't in better shape back in that day. Somebody was probably living there. 2012, that's a very old. This is a community where they're not doing a whole lot of driving around. The street is interesting. As I look across just the street, this whole thing is the street, but right now it's these two pathways that are, asphalt lanes, and that's just the median, I guess, in the middle there. If we go down, you can see there's little cut throughs like that. where they cut across. And so that's the street, it's kind of look at that, very wooded, not a bad area. I just, so we come down here, that house is fine. Yeah. These aren't luxurious homes, but they're certainly nice places here along that street. So yeah, there's one of the neighbors, got that metal roof. I'm really attracted to the idea of the metal roofs. Our guys in Memphis, they are putting a metal roof on almost every house they rehab now. So yeah, there you get an idea of what the neighborhood looks like. It's not horrible, and it has the Dollar General. It's actually in an area called Bevel Oaks. So it's kind of a suburb of Beaumont, if you will, but right out there off of that 105 highway, probably a 2-lane road. All right, so that's the house. That's where it is. Let's go back and talk about the situation here, guys. This thing, it's going to be do your due diligence all the way around, because what we have here, as they told us right here, is a gutted flip. And so in a second here, we're going to jump into the pictures. I'm going to show you guys what a gutted flip looks like. It's, like I said, some of the work's been done, but it ain't pretty. They've got some comps they've found over in Beaumont, 117 a square foot, 93 a square foot. Excuse me. I don't know about those comps. We will look. What we're going to look at today is the house across the street, and I'll tell you why. I will tell you why. So basically, they're saying ARV 309. That's the after repaired value. For you guys who are new to the videos, the first thing we do when we're evaluating a real estate investment deal is we determine the after repaired value. That's what the house would be worth when we're done. It's in perfect condition. It's ready to be put on the market. What would we list it for? That's the after repaired value. Our opportunity to buy this home is at $108,500. And so it sounds like a huge discount, like only a third of the value of the home is in cash, and you can have it and restore it and supposedly get 309 for the property. That's the idea. So let's see if that idea actually works out for us. And of course, in just a moment, we're going to jump into the pictures, which is my favorite part. And I think you guys are going to be very impressed with the pictures that are coming. Now, I did do a little snooping around, and I went, of course, as I always do when I'm determining the after repaired value, is I went out and I looked at Zillow. And what I see on Zillow is that this house is listed. And it's listed at $115. It's had a recent price cut within a month ago. So what we're going to see on the public sites is the $115 listing price. We're not going to see the Zestimate or that kind of thing on the sites, because it's a listed property. And so you can see it has a pending offer, and the pending offer, I assume, is the contract that the wholesaler has with these guys. And so that's not going to tell us very much, but if we look down here, we see that they have listed this house at 125, then they removed it, then they listed it again, and they got a pending sale. That sale fell through. Then they came back out at 115, back, on, 828, they dropped it. What's the days on market on this thing? It's got to be pretty long. I don't know. Oh, it'll be up here. Days on Zillow. Where's the days on Zillow? That says 10. That's because they're tricking the system. They're unlisting and relisting to get it to not have long days on market. Everybody's going to know, all the agents are going to know that game. This house has been listed a lot. So 115 out there. The Houston Association of Realtors, of course, is showing it at the 115 under contract. The same information we had over there. When we go to Realtor, now Realtor, let's see. Oh yeah, they don't really tell us anything on this property. So anyway, I don't think I'm in the right screen on Realtor. But it doesn't matter, because they would show it at the 115. You guys know I have a service I use called Property Radar, and I don't usually show you Property Radar because it shows the owner's names and information and a lot of things that I can't put on a public site. But what I did is I redacted that because I want to show you this house on Property Radar because there's something crazy about it. Oops, it's right here. Let me go to slideshow. So, first, this is the first thing I wanted to show you. This house is showing on tax as having negative $8 million equity. How could this be? I think this is a typo, to be honest. They're showing, by the way, on Property Radar that the estimated value is 125 for this house. There was back in 21 a 163 loan. It says cash out. I don't know if it cashed out 163. That'd be crazy. Definitely be negative. So it looks like they purchased it in 21 at 203 and then cashed out in 2 days later. I'm not exactly sure what this is telling me. I think they got a $200,000 loan. But here's the deal. It shows on 10/7 of 22, $8.5 million loan on the property, which took it to negative. So I think it's probably $85,000 or $8,500. It was a loan cash out. I guarantee they didn't cash out $8,500,000 on this property, but Property Radar thinks they did, and I thought that was funny. Property Radar gets their stuff from the tax records. I'm going to assume this is what it's showing on the tax record, so it would be kind of funny. The other thing I noticed in Property Radar is just if you look at that listing history, kind of what Zillow shows, they show it in a very clean way in that, in 22, 94 days on market at 125, then later 24, 114 days, 72 days, 24 days. So you can see they've been listing and pulling off, trying to sell this property for the last few years. And that's what we found out in Property Radar. Now, what I did not do, in fact, let me just zero these out because let's see, Property Radar had it at 125 something. Everybody else has it at like 115 because that's what it was listed for, and that doesn't mean anything to us, right? These things don't mean anything. But that's what I would have seen on all the sites is the listing price and then Property Radar having its own value of 125. Now, here's the dilemma. We really don't know what this house is worth. And so I did a little experiment, a little investigation to go figure out what it might be worth. And this is what I did. I just looked across the street. This is the house across the street. In fact, here's our subject property right there. You guys see it with the little marker on it. And right across the street here is 13,320. It is not listed. So this house right across the street is going to be on Zillow at its actual value, not, inhibited by the listing, if you will. And they say 156 over here on Zillow and showed it as high as 207 at one point, but it dropped off like a hot potato and came down here, supposedly. I do not think that real estate shifts this quickly. So it has to do with, Joel talked about this in episode 50, that these AVM models are really kind of messed up when you go out into a smaller area. They don't really have good data, good comps, and so something can happen. Somebody probably bought a house for cash and dropped it down here. This house is going to, if it went for 108,000 and that hit the tax records, that comp is going to hurt everybody in the area. And you're going to see something like this. I think this house could be worth fixed up closer to the $200,000. That's kind of what I'm thinking when I think about the subject property, not this one. But this house across the street gives us the opportunity. See, and I went over to Red Realtor, and they had the house across the street at 171. This is a smaller house. It's 1865 square feet. And if I just grab my calculator and I said, if I took the 171 there from Realtor and I divided it by, what did I say, 1865? I divide it by the 1865 square feet. I get $91 a square foot. That's kind of my most optimistic guess. I'm going to go back to my model here, and I put in the $91 right there. And that values this 2,355 square foot house, our subject property there, 13325 River Oaks Boulevard. It values it at $214. I think I'm going to go with that because now we've taken the house across the street. We found that on Realtor, it's at 171. That's $91 a square foot. We apply it to our subject property and we're at 214. And that's what I'm going to go with. So I'm not using my calculator over here. Ignore that thing in the blue box right there. All right. So we could pay $150 if it was in excellent condition. Now we know this house is not in excellent condition. In fact, we hear that it's missing some parts, specifically the walls. And so I think that's going to be a significant issue. Now, if it was in great shape at the 70% discount factor, we could pay $150,000. They're only asking what, 108? That's $40,000 worth of repairs we could make, and then this house would be perfectly priced for us. But we're going to find out, I think, that that's not going to necessarily work out that way. So let's jump over to the house. I did click over to the pictures, and I do want to point something out here. They have numbered their pictures in a sequential method, which I think follows the layout. This is exactly what I want wholesalers to do. I mean, it's not for me, it's for you. It's for, if you number your pictures in order that you want the cash buyer to discover them, it's kind of like you're showing the house to them, you know, in that order. And I think you always want to start at the front. And this is as far as I went on this house because I needed a background picture, so I went with that. But I haven't looked at the others. I don't like to look at the pictures without you guys. I think that's part of the fun of what we do together is we discover these houses and we figure out if they're a gem or a pile. All right, so let's jump in and see what we're looking at. Of course, we see that this house, I actually kind of like the brick. I think that roof might be in rough condition. You know, they said do your due diligence. And this house, I think it's been abandoned for a while. You know, there's stuff growing on it. Oh, like, look at that. Like, there's stuff growing up and across in the eaves, the soffits. Yeah, that's crazy. Through the fascia. All right, look at that. I think there's much work to be done out here. And as we see there's a window that's gone and replaced by wood. Wood does not make a good window. Turns out you're gonna have to put some glass in there. I think there's a door gone there. This house is like a haunted house. It's like something like you would dare your friends to like stay there overnight, you know, and most would not do it because it could be haunted. I think so much overgrowth, it's even kind of hard to see the house. No big deal. We can see it's got kind of one of those little storage barn things for the riding lawnmower that's surely not running anymore. It hasn't run in a long, long time. Brick looks okay. It needs to be power washed, I think. And I'm not sure what's happening over here on this side of the house. I think that might be a storage building. See that tin roof, and that's not the same side. So not exactly sure what I'm seeing right there. It's got a separate two-car garage. No. The garage is on the side. Yeah. The garage is on that Natchez Drive side, and the front of the house faces the River Oaks Street. So there's your garage. Looks fine. Connects to the house over there, and then the house goes that way, right? Got something sitting out there. Freebie. When you buy this house, you get that for free. I don't know what it is, though. All right, guys, we're now inside. So the whole episode, was, I thought, a gutted house. Let's look at this gutted house. The demo's already been done. How hard could it be? You just bring your crews in here. The only thing they have to do is throw up some sheetrock, do some texture, that kind of thing. Then do the floorings, ceiling, walls, flooring. Well, we got some other missing parts, like the bathroom parts. I see a toilet. Don't know if it's functional. You can see everything because all the walls are gone. But yeah, it looks like it's missing a bathtub, shower, whatever was supposed to go there. And here you go. One thing I do like, seeing the floors. These floors don't look really cracked up or anything. Actually looks pretty good. Yeah, walls look fine. I believe you're probably going to have to get this inspected again before you close them up. I'm not 100% sure, but somebody's needs to look at that, make sure everything's copacetic before you start closing up these walls. Make sure your outlets and everything are in the right place and properly connected. But yeah, I mean, this is a gutted house. It's ready. And when we do cosmetic in our model, that's like painting the walls. That's not replacing the walls. That's way more expensive. Like $10 a square foot on painting the walls, man. If I've got to replace the walls, I'm probably at $30 a square foot. All that work, and then it needs all floors. They're not looking upward, but I'm going to assume there's no ceilings. I'm not 100% sure. Have you guys seen anything? I think we're seeing some of the same pictures. Here's another room. If you're going to change something, this is the time to do it. Move a wall or something, make a closet bigger or whatever. Well, there's an old bathtub still in there, toilet still in there, but honestly, I think all this stuff would go. That's one of those crappy vinyl liner things. Yeah, I think all this should go. I mean, as long as you're here, just rip it out. Tear off the Band-Aid. This thing is nothing to save here, folks. Nothing to save here. And look, I think that's an exterior wall. Look, we're seeing outside. Yeah, wow. Interesting. That, right? Yeah, we're looking at brick. That's got to be some sort of walkway or entry. I don't know what. I'm turned around and I don't know what I'm looking at. I know I'm looking at a toilet. Probably not a good time to use that bad boy because you are exposed. Yeah, again, typical tear out gut, kind of thing. So in this case, we're not tearing the house down. We're just ripping out all this stuff and then rebuilding it from the shell of the outside. We're rebuilding the inside. Here is an air conditioner unit. It's obviously not connected. They're not moving up and showing me the ceiling. I have a feeling the ceilings are gone. And that will at least allow us to see if there's ductwork up there or whatever. But man, this is not that far away from building a house. You've got a shell, and you've got some framing, but everything needs to be done. Everything needs to be checked. Many things will need to be replaced. This is kind of a crazy situation. Now, here we are in the entryway, and yeah, this looks like maybe it's a closet or something. Who knows? That door's seen better days, eh? All right. So that's what we're looking at. Front door, front living room, bay window. Kind of like that bay window looking thing. It's either a bay window or the picture's bent. I think it is a bayish window because this looks pretty straight and that looks kind of curved. Yeah, all flooring, all walls. I see some ceilings. Now, there may be some ceiling. Ooh. There is a ceiling, but I got to ask you guys, do you want to keep that ceiling? I mean, you're already in here. You already got a build this house from the inside out. Do you want to keep that crap? I think no. Heck no. You're already doing it. You're already bringing in your crews. You don't want to deal with this kind of defective product that's up there. Who knows? This could have black mold. It looks horrible. I don't know how a ceiling even comes to look that way. You can almost see the beams above it. That is weird. Maybe it's a piece of plastic. Honestly, guys, that might be a piece of plastic, right? Because maybe they seal. That would be weird. I've never seen anybody do that, but that might be. It might be. There's a crazy kind of brick. I guess that's a brick wall. It looks like it was built by a 4-year-old. I don't know what that's supposed to be. Looks like there's supposed to be a sink right here, maybe. Yep. With some valves and drains and such. We're probably in the kitchen. I just don't know what that thing is. That needs to go. I would tear that out. Absolutely. That is not an asset. Get rid of it. Obviously, floors, everything goes. Everything. The ceiling that we do see, if that is a ceiling, and I think it is now over there, I was thinking maybe it was a plastic sheet. Man, why did they stop when they were tearing all this out? They should have just continued on up there and gotten rid of all that crap, because it looks horrible. It looks disgusting. I wouldn't want to build on top of that. I don't want to paint that, texture that. It's in rough shape. Obviously, we're looking at a gutted house. And I think that will be it for this one. Now, I want to tell you guys, when I come in here to the calculator and we look at what repairs this thing needs, it needs more repairs than the model was built for. You know, the model was built for you to say, well, it needs a full cosmetic, it needs general repairs, it needs electrical, it needs plumbing, needs HVAC, needs foundation, needs roof. We're at $50 a square foot. The problem is, my model assumes in full cosmetic that you have walls and doors and cabinets and countertops and all that stuff. And this house has none of that. So there's no walls to paint, right? So in my model, in order to manipulate it, this is at least going to a 2, and general repairs are at least going to a 2. And then I think what we're going to need to do this house, to finish this house, is this. My cosmetic would really be a 3, because that takes us closer to $76,000 or $76 a square foot. And the reason I'm trying to get there is I know from past projects and experiences that it's going to cost me $80 a square foot minimum to finish out a gutted house with no bathrooms, no, tubs, toilet, everything. There was no kitchen. We saw no kitchen. All the plumbing needed to be redone. That's at minimum $80 a square foot. Notice something about the model right now. I'm not even at the $80 yet. And the model is saying we could pay negative $27,000 for this house, 28. Meaning right now, they'd have to give me $28,000 to take this house. Otherwise, I wouldn't take it. It's like, you give me $28,000, we'll call it a day. I'll title it over to me. I'll take over this horrific thing that's been sitting on the market since 2022, gutted out, never finished. Why was it never finished? Why did nobody take on this project? Because the numbers don't work. That's why they didn't take on the project. Guys, this house at max is worth $91 a square foot. We're going to have to put 80 a square foot in this. Now, I just wanted to show you a little experiment I did. I went over to the Chat GPT 5.1. Look at that, 0.1. I feel 0.1 smarter today. I just simply said I'm a real estate investor looking at a house in Beaumont, Texas, 2355. The entire house has been gutted down to the frame. How much would it cost to refinish this house? I want to show you the amazing amount of information that ChatGPT is giving us today as real estate investors. It basically says bare bone finish 185 to 225, decent retail flip finish much higher 225 285. So think $80 to $120 per square foot as a first pass. Okay, and then ChatGPT jumps into this explanation of, well, why are the numbers so high? Well, when a house is truly gutted to the studs, you're not just doing cosmetics. You're basically rebuilding everything inside the shell, right? This moves you out of the $30 per square foot lipstick land and into the light new construction inside of an old shell. In most Texas markets, full gut rehabs commonly land in the $80 to $140 a square foot window, depending on finish level and surprises. ChatGPT is smarter than you think. It's so funny. Beaumont is cheaper than Austin, Dallas, Houston, but labor and materials are still this. I think they're still the same cost as if you build in Austin, Dallas, or Houston, right? And so that's kind of the problem. Now, as you can see here, we won't go into it, but they did a whole cost model, talked about the interior finish. And if you'll notice, ChatGPT understands these concepts of after repaired value. Because when I said I'm a real estate investor, ChatGPT says, okay, I'm going to talk to you like a real estate investor. You've told me who you are. I'm now going to speak to you in the voice of that, an avatar, ChatGPT being a knowledgeable real estate investor. Again, basic rental grade finish, 80 to 95. We saw that. So to rebuild that house, 188. Oh my gosh. And so what do we think we can sell the house for? 214. Yeah. You see the problem. Oh my. So I think we're right. I think we could even throw on, what I want to get to $80. Hang on just a second. What if we said 2.5? I just want to get to $80. Okay. Whoa, we're so close. 2.6. 2.6. Wait, what? 2.7. I'm just trying to get that now. Oh, $80. All right. Even better. Even better. So if it's $80 a square foot to rebuild the house is worth $91 in perfect condition. But, my friends, it's going to cost $80 to get it there. So for that 2355 square foot house, after repaired value, which we kind of stretched to get to the $91 a square foot, or the $214,305 after repaired value, times 70% of the 150 minus the repairs of 187,694. We come back over here. What was this saying? 188 on the low end to rebuild that house. And now our model says it, right? And what does it tell us? They got to give us $38,000 if they want us to take this house. It's the first house I've looked at that came out so negative in the cash offer that they would literally have to give me money to come down to Beaumont or whatever it was, Bevel Oaks, with the Dollar General, having a Christmas special. Wow. See the problem? Have you spotted the problem with this one? Okay, we're going to leave it there. I think we're done. Like, the deal didn't work. So just because we see a house that's gutted, somebody's already gone in and done a lot of the demolition. Now, I'm guessing there was mold or there was something. And when we look at those ceilings, I think they didn't quite finish the demolition. This house needs to be, I think there needs to be a little more demo before we come in there and even start the work. And I think that work is going to cost at least $80 a square foot. That was my thought before I looked at ChatGPT, and ChatGPT is saying, hey, 80 to 95 on the low basic rental grade finish. And I absolutely believe ChatGPT is right there. So that'll be it for today, guys. This was a fun one to look at. I've had people kind of say to me before, hey, I'm looking at a house that these investors already started working on, but now they're trying to sell it. The investors, they ran out of money. They didn't get the money that they needed. Something happened and they needed to, go ahead and just give somebody else the project. Let them take it. And that's the truth here. And the reason this one sat here for 3 years, 4 years is that nobody can make the numbers work. because they don't work on this house. They're going to have to give it away. They're going to have to give it away. This house is worth nothing to anybody. All right, that's it. Hey, you can go to cashoffermasterclass.com, click on get the calculator, get this beautiful calculator, run it yourself on the deals you look at. If you're a wholesaler, I'm looking for wholesalers, particularly outside of Texas, that send out emails similar to what Fazio does, because I really want to start looking at deals outside of Texas. There's nothing special about Texas as I look at these. It's just the wholesalers that have been sending me content. They've been sending me Texas content because I'm a Texas investor. But I really would love to look at other deals. So if you're a wholesaler and you're sending out emails, marketing emails, send them to me. I would love to evaluate your deals. I will, be honest. So, it's going to be what it's going to be, right? All right. So that's it for today. And there's something else. I have a special episode coming up, episode number 60. I'm just going to mention it at the end of every one of these. Episode number 60 is going to be how investors fund their deals. And I'm going to have a special guest from Ray Williamson from Kiavi. Kiavi is one of the biggest lenders to real estate investors in the United States. And Ray and I are going to sit around and chat about how you guys can raise money and fund your deals. And it is going to be the best conversation about that you will ever find on the internet, certainly for free. Okay, so that's it. I want you to be looking forward to that. I hope you guys had a great Thanksgiving, those of you that are watching me live and those that you are watching me later. Hey, I hope it's a great day for you wherever you are. If you haven't, subscribe. Go down and subscribe. We're building this thing, and I need your help. We'll see you. Talk to you soon.